it goes into emergency maintenance, I'm going to bed. It's the most likely outcome. My time playing service games and growing up with a mom who's played more than I have. She loves her tab target MMOs as much as I love beat 'em ups and retro style games. Why is this game so functional? You can just spectate right away. How cool is that? Let's see if these people got... I don't want to bully anybody. I want to try to fight someone at an equal skill level. Okay, these are obvious beginners. I don't want to ruin their fun. They're having fun. I didn't feel like playing ranked tonight. I'm gonna try one ranked match and probably just play some arcade and try to get on the game. It's probably not gonna work tonight. I fully expect it to not work. The other option is that it'll come up just fine, but there'll be like some fatal bug, and they'll have to take it down for maintenance.
Spirit of
Ooh, nice! That was sick. Good stuff. I can't get salty over that. That was a good combo.
now it's much.
Nice punish. that fierce is so good. Massive hitbox. I don't really feel like playing ranked tonight, but there's nothing but beginners in the lobby. And I don't like bullying people on fighting games. So that's the kind of stuff that makes people like stop playing. And somebody who's been playing for like 200 hours comes in and just obliterates them. That's what causes rage uninstalls. Sometimes in ranked, just like not that many people on. Unless it's like Dragon Ball Fighters, generally it's probably a better idea to bully in Dragon Ball Fighters because then they just rage quit and then they
Sometimes
waste
the
less
most
of your time.
important is the battle within.
Everybody rage quits in that game. You gonna fight, dude? Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Try to be a good sport here. Don't queue up in ranked if you can't actually play. I don't get why people do this. Don't queue up if you can't play. This isn't like a team-based game like Overwatch or something. Where you need like 20 on one. I hate when people do this, because I feel like a dick for taking the win, but... honestly, if you're gonna go AFK, then take yourself out of the queue. Don't waste people's time. Let's go! Come on! The timer gets down to the end, I'm just gonna jab him once and just take the win. I'm hoping this guy will come back. I feel like people do forget that this is a fighting game and it's not like a team-based MOBA or shooter or something. You definitely queue up AFK a lot longer in those kinds of games, but in this it's like you generally find a match in a few seconds. It doesn't have like a huge amount of people playing, but let's go! That's a sick Z color, though. I dig it.
Shoryuken! 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 Hadouken!
Oops.
Tatsumaki Seppuku! Tatsumaki Seppuku! Tatsumaki Seppuku!
Alright, I'm done waiting. I tried to be a good sport. They glitched out. This guy hacking. Yeah, it's just glitched. Great. Probably put me in rage quitter jail. That shit's not my fault. I'll never understand why people do that. Because, especially with that game, because it's crossplay across all platforms and all regions, so even if there's like not that many, it's not as many people playing as like other more popular fighting game franchises and stuff, you still get matches all the time. I've played the game at like 2 a.m. before my time, which is like 5 a.m. in the East Coast, and generally around the morning in other countries. There's still people playing. It just annoys me because I try to be a good sport, and those people are really just wasting your time. Let's see, what can I play for 20 minutes? Oh wait, was the launch delayed? I called it. Wow. Take a look at this. Wow. I knew this was going to happen. Okay, so you've had like 30 hours to put the game back up. And then like 20 minutes before you say it's going to be extended. And they don't even give a time. You would think like being in maintenance for like 30 hours would allow you to finish it. Classic service game launch right there. They can't be honest with you and just tell you, like, we don't know when it's going to come up. Well, I'm not staying up for that. I'm not staying up for it. Unless it's within, like, the next 2 hours or so. That's about my physical and mental limit. I'm not staying up. It's not the first time that this has happened, and it's not going to be the last time. I feel bad for the people that have been streaming. People have been streaming in the PSO2 Twitch directory for like hours, trying to get on right away. I told you those were the two outcomes. It's either they extend the maintenance like right before it's supposed to go up, which is common service game shit, or the game would come up and they'd find some fatal bug like like I don't know, like if you attack the game crashes or something, and then they're like, "Oh, sorry, we need to go in emergency maintenance," and it'll be up in like 50 hours. It's baffling how this happens. This happens every time. It felt like this game had a chance of going up when it was supposed to, because they gave themselves like way more time than normal. Normally it's like they'll give themselves like 8 hours to like completely revamp the game or something, and then it's supposed to be like a big shock when they can't get it right. They screw it up. You can't tell me I didn't call this shit. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I'm curious when they knew that they weren't going to be able to put it up. I wonder if it was like within the last hour. I think if there was a problem, you would like tell people ahead of time. If you're like 26 out of 30 hours in and there's like some fatal problem, just tell people like, don't stay up, don't take the night off. Just go to work and make your money. It's better than staring at a server screen that's not going to work. That's why I didn't take today off. I could have told my neighbor like, hey, I'm going to be playing this game, and she would have been totally cool with that, but I knew from experience the game's not going to be up anyway. I might as well just go over there. I haven't tried the Neo 2 mod. I'm just gonna play some games for a bit, and maybe they'll come up by like 1 or 2, and if they don't, I'm just going to bed. I don't care. Even if it does come up, it's probably gonna be the usual stuff where servers hammered. No, they just announced an extended maintenance. Typical MMO shit right there. Like 20 minutes ago they announced it. It's baffling how they wait. They always wait so long. Would have liked to have been told like an hour ago, so I wouldn't have planned all this stuff out. I plan to be on at this time. I plan to like stay up tonight. I haven't taken my meds yet or had my stress drink. I'm like, yeah, I'm probably just gonna take my meds and go to bed. Seems like the wiser choice. I always tell people never take the night off work, the day off work for an online game. You're almost always better just going to work and making money. Because you're gonna take the day off and the game's not gonna be up, or the server's gonna be busted. Or they do some random random emergency maintenance that lasts for like 12 hours. And you're just going to be sitting there endlessly refreshing a server screen. How much longer do they expect? Who knows? I feel really bad for the people that like depending on this to like grow their channel and stuff. I don't really care. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna like the game, to be honest, because I'm such an old fart that's been around since the original PSO. Been playing this shit for like 20 years. I don't know if New Genesis is really gonna vibe with me, but I knew better than to take the day off or like really make a big deal out of it coming up, because this is almost always the outcome. It's like you can take a day off for like an offline game, like, you know, Ninja Gaiden Master Collection comes out tomorrow. You can take the day off for that. But if it's anything involving logging onto a server to play a game, you're better off just doing that. Setting yourself up for disappointment. And your whole day is ruined when that happens too, by the way, because you don't know if it's going to go up. If the Japanese server's up. It would still take me like probably 2 hours to download 80 gigs of data though. Well, they're being smart and not giving a set time that it's going to come back up. Still pretty boneheaded to wait this long when people are like, have been sitting at a server screen for hours. But at least they had the foresight to not say how long the emergency maintenance is going to be. That's another common mistake with service games. You're like, oh, we're just going to be in emergency maintenance for 40 minutes, and then it ends up being like 8 hours. Your whole day is just ruined at that point. Especially if it's the kind of game that doesn't kick you off for inactivities, and then you're like kind of stuck. It's like, okay, I can like go into work, or I can do errands, or whatever bullshit I need to do. Just log into the game and it'll be there when I come back. Then you're like trapped because you need to wait for it to come up before you can do that. Telling you guys, I grew up with a mom who's played like every tab target MMO you can think of, and in most of the good ones she has a maxed out healer, so even before I got into service games myself, she was the one telling me, teaching me about how to not expect the game to ever go up. Probably call her tonight. She's probably she doesn't want to play it because it doesn't have the summoner. I'm sure she'd be calling me right now if she does. Why isn't the game up? I'm like, you know better. Like 25 years of playing online games. I actually want to check the PSO2 Twitch directory right now. I wonder how many people just signed off. Because I was looking at it earlier. Like when I got off my kitty sitting job. And there were like a couple dozen people waiting for it. will commit to being on like half an hour before a game's supposed to launch. That's my limit. Anything past that is not worth it. Actually, you're not even safe from that shit on the Switch. The Switch is just as bad. A lot of times they don't tell you when a game actually launches on there, so that's actually an exception to the rule. You're gonna play like a single-player game on Switch and you pre-order it. Don't take the night off. That shit's probably not gonna be up until like 9 in the morning. Take the next day off, but don't expect to play it at midnight. It's like no formula behind what launches at midnight on Switch and what launches in the morning. Can't tell you how many times I've been pissed. I like pre-order a game on there and they're like, oh, it comes up at like 9:30 a.m. Like, why doesn't it come out at midnight? Why is it different for every single game? I think the Switch is like the worst place to pre-order games. Unless you have the morning, the subsequent day off. Not worth it. Brought back the NOL glitch from the original PSO2, where somebody could just turn you into an NPC and effectively delete your character. Maybe that's what they found. A null glitch came back. That would be fucking legendary. It's like, wait, somebody PK'd me with a Game Sharp Resta that does underflow damage. Just kills you outright. That's what they would do in that game. They would PK you and take your stuff. Because for whatever reason in that game, when you died, you dropped your weapon and your money. So they would use Game Shark code to just steal your stuff. And then there was the one that they could turn you into an NPC. His name was NOL. Which would also basically delete your character. You couldn't play anymore. Good times. Maybe they found that in testing. It all came back. I had that happen to me. I never got null, but I had someone took my gear. Yeah, Null was really bad. If you think people grief a lot in online games right now, like, I'd like the people who think griefing is bad now to be around back then. I know I sound like a really old fart saying that, but there isn't anything quite on the level of making your character literally unplayable, or PKing you with a spell that a negative resta that underflows and just kills you on the spot. You lose all your money and your equipped weapon. None of the griefing you can do in online games now will ever top that. Hell yeah, air dash. Alright, now I need some more core points. Alright, got a full mobility run. This is gonna be fun. Need to harvest some core points. PSO1 was really ahead of its time. There wasn't anything else like it at the time, but it really didn't have anybody moderating it, and the Dreamcast was ridiculously easy to break. There's no copy protection, and Game Shark just straight up worked on the game, so it wasn't like these days where you have to find like some actual working hack or do it yourself or something, and they didn't, you know, they have like cheat protection now, so at the very least you have to be more than a script kiddie to like break an online game. But back then it was like, no, just buy a Game Shark from GameStop. Well, it was Electronics Boutique at the time, and just find the codes online, and you could just ruin everyone. I feel like the people who say that they want old school PSO back. I think those people are really clouded by nostalgia. There are lots of elements of PSO1 that have not aged well. The combat, for one. The way that the loot system worked, for two. And the other part was the fact that you could just... You didn't even have to be a script kiddie. Have to like download someone's hack or something, just literally just use Game Shark. It was a different time. That was the epitome of the Wild West service game. It's interesting how they're doing things differently with this one, because generally with like PSO games, when the new one comes out, the other one just dies right away. But I heard the reason they're doing things differently this time is because if they change the name to PSO3, then they couldn't keep all the collab stuff in the game. And that would piss off a lot of people because PSO Vanilla had a ton of collaborations and stuff with various anime and games and stuff. Probably look it up. There might be videos about the null glitch. I never had that happen to me, but I had a Umar with spread needle, which was like the best weapon in the original game. And someone just joined my game and PK'd me with the underflow Resta. Took all my money too. Like when PSO2 got announced, they killed Universe like instantly. That game died really fast. But the reason they're doing things differently this time is because if they change the name, then they can't keep all the licensed stuff in the game. That and they probably actually were smart and they realized that generally, whenever you make a sequel to a service game, especially a really successful one like PSO2, the sequel usually does really badly. That's why you know World of Warcraft has been around since like the dawn of time, and they haven't made another one. Final Fantasy XIV was very much the same way too. I think that game paled in comparison to 11. It was a completely broken mess. That game is an anomaly. They actually released the standard, really shitty, underwhelming sequel to a really successful MMO and then relaunched it. Generally, that doesn't happen. It just shuts down. Good example is Ragnarok Online 2. That game was a pretty big failure. People, they actually just went back and they started updating the old one again. I'm pretty sure those new DFO games they've announced over the past few months are going to be repeating history again. Those games are probably going to crash and burn. They're just going to come crawling back to the decrepit old original game. I would be surprised if it doesn't, but this is something that's happened countless times in the history of online games. I think the way that they're doing it in PSO2 is the smarter way. I'm not entirely sure if they'll pull it off, but they just called it PSO3. There's a high chance it would probably fail. Maple Story 2 is another one. You know, the original Maple Story is still around. The sequels came and went. It's like it never existed. EverQuest 2 is another one. That's a game that bombed too. EverQuest was like one of the mainstream MMOs. Like I said, I have a mom that plays a lot of MMOs. Hey, that's weird. It was supposed to keep my stuff. What the hell? I have this. Ah, no, doesn't matter. Runs over anyway. Now I know to not take that again. Actually, this legit sucks. I lost all my mobility. That's what's cool about this game is it's not all about just stacking damage items like a lot of roguelikes become. Mobility is very important in this game too. Oh, I can get the last reroll. That's nice. That was a good run. Kind of screwed it up there at the end, but grab the last reroll. Actually, wow, there's one more. That's like 4 rerolls. That's crazy. Rerolls in this game are really good because you can effectively control what item you get. I'm trying to find a video on Null so you guys can get some PSO history. Yeah, this is it right here. This is what I remember. The Dark Ages. Let me pull this up really quick. I gotta make a new scene. Hold on. Yeah, there's 2 of them. There's 2 of them right there. Their characters are rendered useless. Wow. Yeah, I have a really hard time when people complain about hacks in games and stuff now. It's like, I don't know, you can't lose your character because of it. Someone can't like negative heal you and make you drop all your stuff. The kids have it easy now. At the same time, I could see why people did stuff like that because PSO1 had really archaic systems even back then. The fact that your drop table was determined by the name that you had, your section ID, that was a really stupid mechanic. Could make it a lot harder to get stuff if I remember correctly. The PSO2 had a lot of dumb mechanics too, like how confusing a fixing was, and the fact that they still had racial differences. I mean, everybody just made a human character anyway. He didn't want to make a cast generally because the costume parts were like way more expensive and there were a lot less of them. But they also, the stats like barely mattered. I mean, it was there, but I don't know. Somebody, unless somebody told you, I don't think you would really notice. It's cool how they're actually getting rid of a lot of the really archaic stuff about vanilla PSO2. The fixing is like 10 times easier, and they have the universal skill points is kind of cool on paper. I didn't really get to do much with it in the beta. That's kind of cool. It does reduce the amount of how boring it is to play at level 1. And the fact that there's no racial differences at all. You can just play the character that you want. I think they removed a lot of the gender restrictions too, which is nice. I just feel like they should have done that stuff with the original games. It's always really dumb how like you had to watch guides on how to affix your stuff. You couldn't just do it. They did make it a little bit better. I think in like episode 3 or 4, they made it a little bit better, but still like felt like you needed a PhD to do it. I was actually shocked how much easier it is in the new game. I want to check the directory right now. Like, how many people are are still waiting? So I'm not gonna wait. I'll wait like another like 48 minutes. That's about as far as I'll go. I'm not gonna sit here and wait for a game that's not gonna come back up. There's people still waiting. Wow. I would have given up at this point. You got to draw the line somewhere. Look at this. Look at this directory. This is the epitome of an online game launching. It's just like people staring at the server screen. I mean, I can't say much. They have more people watching than I've ever had, but man, I would just like play something else or just go to bed, honestly. The likely outcome, what makes it worse, is that it probably will come up within the next few hours, but the servers are going to get hammered and you're not going to be able to play anyway. Or the connection's going to be so bad. It's going to be like barely functional. You're going through the cycle of every online game launch. Extended emergency maintenance, and then it comes up and it's going to be barely functional. Hey, you just got this game. Cool. Yeah, they hooked me up with the key. This game desperately needs D-pad support, but I'm just gonna kill time until 2 a.m. my time, which is like 45 minutes. If the game's not up by then, I'm just going to bed. Give me something good. Actually, these are both really good. That's just a straight damage increase. I'm gonna take that one. Save the rest. I can start trying to get some items from the chests. Someone wants to refresh their Twitter account and let me know if it comes up, and I'll attempt to get on, but I'm not gonna sit here and waste people's time. It's kind of what it is when a game like this launches and you stream and you tell people you're gonna be on. It's like, most likely the game's not gonna go up, so kind of wasting people's time. I don't think anyone really wants to admit it, but people are coming there for that specific game, and it's launch day. I don't know. It's not something I like doing. Doing something right, though. Some of them have like 1,000 people watching, but I don't particularly agree with that practice. You have people there on the false guarantee that the game's actually going to go up. More likely outcome is that it will not go up. Nothing new, yeah. At least they have the intelligence to not tell people it's going to be up at like a specific time. It's a very common mistake they make with this kind of thing. It's like, oh, sorry, we just need an extra 20 minutes, and then that turns into like 8 hours. It's like, well, you should have just told people you don't know when it's going to come back up. Don't waste people's time. That's why I didn't come on until like 12:30. I didn't really promise that I was going to be playing it either. It's just going to play random stuff, and if it goes into maintenance, just go to bed. I'll probably be up early in the morning. If I wake up at ass o'clock and it comes on, I'll stream it. By the way, I got a review key for the Ninja Gaiden Master Collection. I think I'm allowed to stream that. It's like the afternoon. It's not really the most opportune time for me because I have to go take care of the kitties around 7. But we'll be checking that out at some point. The Switch version comes out in the morning in Japan, but I haven't been able to find any footage on that. I don't know if I want to take the risk and get it. There's been like almost no footage of the Switch version. I tried to find some today. They say it's 60 FPS, who knows if it's locked. I mean, it wouldn't really be a deal breaker. Ninja Gaiden's never really had good, consistent performance until this port that just came out. I don't really think it would be that big a deal, but I'm curious, like, the extent of how much it drops frames. Just like Platinum games. You know, Platinum games dropping frames is just kind of like something you accept. The games don't run like crap, but they don't run anywhere near 60 FPS on console. The only exception to that rule was like the ones that got ported from last gen. Grab a food upgrade, and then Try to get something good from here, I guess. I got enough for like one good item from here, and I don't have any chance of a reroll. Take the healing, or... I don't really think that's gonna help much, really. Sealing is already very minimal in this game. I'm just gonna take the damage. You're always dashing in this game, so it's basically just a fat bonus. You're always gonna have up. Now I need to save up for a heal after this, because the level after this is very poorly designed. This part of the game is fine. It's after this part, all the bugs and stuff, I feel like the quality of the game just falls off the cliff. But this game has really nice persistent progression, so you deal with the shitty balance and the annoying enemies, you're still like making some progress. Which is, it's nice that they already have that in place at least, even if the balancing needs a lot of work. The game has an impressive amount of ways to use the upgrade currency even after you've upgraded everything, which is something a lot of these games are missing. I liked how 20XX had the NPC that would let you take items out of the pool. I thought that was really awesome. You had like a permanent method of using it. I thought that was really intelligent design. Generally in these kinds of games you have like, I don't know, a couple dozen hours where you're always unlocking stuff and then currency just becomes useless. It's really cool they already thought of that. There's stuff that you can buy at the start of a run, so currency will always be relevant. Run length in this game feels pretty good. I don't know how many levels they plan on adding, but it feels like that's one thing they've gotten right so far too, is not having really long-ass runs. I don't like roguelikes that get over an hour long. If it's like 30 to 45 minutes, that's usually the kinds of roguelikes I'll dump a bunch of time into. Anything longer than that, I feel it gets too frustrating unless the like the progression balancing is like immaculate. Which doesn't happen that often, I'm sure, as you already know. Yeah, I don't like Hades that much, to be honest. I mean, that game's okay. It's definitely not like one of my favorite roguelikes, but it does a lot of things right. Like the fact that you can beat the game with no grinding, and the fact that the runs are like half an hour long. Those are things that make the game work at its core. I think Hades as a game would not function properly if the runs were really long. That game would just straight up not work. They really did their homework with how to like balance that game. I just think mechanically Hades is not very interesting. It's kind of a one-dimensional game. The combat is one-dimensional. But it does do a lot of things right, and I respect it for that. It's just not a roguelike I put a lot of time into. I played it for like a couple dozen hours. 30 hours or whatever. That was about as far as I took it. If you want combat in your roguelike, there's you can do a lot better than Hades. If you want a more complete, competent package, Hades is like the best you can get. The story and the character development, and the graphics, the music. Curse of the Dead Gods I didn't like that much. I tried that one. The game just felt too punishing to the point where it wasn't really fun for me to play. Blade, yeah, I was looking at that one. That's one I'm interested in. Still nothing on their Twitter, huh? Can't check right now, obviously. Twitter's still posting memes. The classic. Let's wait 20 minutes before 20 minutes before launch to announce that our game doesn't work. Never fails. These are actually some pretty difficult choices. I'm thinking the invincibility is probably going to be better to take. Yeah. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I knew that this was going to happen. That's why I put in my stream description, the title was an extended maintenance waiting room. Because I've been around this block many times. And I grew up with a mom who's been around it even more than I have. Shit's not going to come up when they say, period. The null glitch came back. Found out that Game Shark works with your game. The equivalent of Game Shark these days would be Cheat Engine. Cheat Engine's basically just modern day Game Shark. No, we found out our cheat protection doesn't work. Just use Cheat Engine and give yourself like unlimited money. Cheat Engine's a great tool though. Cheat Engine has given me so much extra playtime out of games that, you know, I get tired of playing. PSO2 is a good example. Yeah, the Steam version was like re-downloading the whole game or something. That's probably why they took it down. I wasn't home when that happened, though. I was at work, so I don't really know the extent of what happened there. Actually, I'm going through this twice this week because tomorrow is Pinnacle of Combat launches. I wonder if that's gonna work. the closed beta they did, that one worked completely fine. It was a little bit laggy, but not the usual service game stuff where it's like the game just doesn't work at all. I was actually genuinely surprised. I just logged on. I had to go through the trouble of making the account, but the game was up at launch. Making the account was the hardest part. Because the site that you can use as a foreigner that has the version of the game that works, they require verification to play their games, and I had to send them my actual information. It took them a long time for them to get back to me. I spent like a whole day trying to get in there. But when the game comes out tomorrow, I can just turn it on and play it. I won't have to do anything else. Damn, that's pretty cool. Pixel art in this game is really good. Very good pixel art. It's pretty complicated to make an account. Because, you know, we're foreigners. I went through a lot. It was not easy to do. Some people are doing it the shady way, but I actually use my real identity. I don't know how people were doing it the shady way myself, but I had to like send them my card and stuff. I can't use the cash shop though unless they change that for the full version, so apparently they reduced a lot of the cash shop stuff in the full version, so it may not even affect me that much, but they put out a sick moveset. I want to have that shit right away. I don't want to grind for it. We'll see though. boss is legit stupid. It's just a bunch of garbage on the screen. The enemies that keep respawning. I think this boss is dumb. Quality of this game just kind of like drops off the cliff when you get here. Feels really badly balanced. This boss has way too much health for how annoying it is. How much time you can't hit it. The spiders are always awful in video games though. Standard shit boss that just completely ruins your enjoyment. Summon more? Really? Die! You get anything from the PSN sale? No. I never turn my PlayStation on. It's been off for like a month. I hate that thing. I despise the PS4. Lots of great games that you can play better on PC with mods. The only thing I really want on PS4 at this point is Battle Garega, but that game never goes on sale. That's the only thing I want. So that hasn't been ported to anything else yet. Yeah, but then I have to pay for PS Plus. I hate paying for PS Plus. Last time I paid for PS Plus was the final Neo 2 DLC, which was quite a while ago. It's like the last time I really used my PS4 at all. I haven't decided if I'm going to import Samurai Warriors yet. I'm leaning towards no. This month is already such an expensive month. Unless I get like some massive Royal Prince donation or something. I'm leaning towards just waiting. Especially since I'm partnered with Koei Tecmo. Okay, what the hell am I supposed to do here? Am I, like, soft locked? Oh. Dude, these enemies are so stupid. They don't even fucking attack you. Just stand there. Really kills the pacing. I feel like they should just take those enemies out of the game. Especially since this has the Risk of Rain 2 scaling difficulty mechanic. Kinda dumb to have enemies that just stand there when the game wants you to go as fast as possible. Guys, I have so much health! So much health. Okay, these guys are really overtuned. What's with these guys' health? What the hell? Why do these guys have like 10 times more health than everything else? Thought maybe this run would finish, but nope. These Hulk cosplayers ruined it. Dude, those guys had like 30 times more health than everybody else. What the hell was that? Great balancing. Guys were the epitome of HP sponges. Most runs toast. This is the end of this run, pretty much. Those Hulk cosplayers really screwed up the run. I'm not entirely convinced they weren't bugged in some way. They had a ton of health. Also, the level layout here sucks. I don't know why they have, like, the element of getting lost in a game where you're ranked on how fast you clear it. The enemies get more health. Feels like they made this stuff, like, within the last few months. And the first two levels were made, like, 2 years ago. Apparently they have been working on this game for 2 years. That's probably why the second half of this game feels so poorly balanced compared to the first half, which feels pretty good. Yeah, I'm not playing this again unless these guys get less health. Like, this is just dumb. Why do the Hulk guys have like 50 billion HP? Pretty dumb. Well, I think I'll wait on patches for this one. If that's what the end of every run's gonna be like, I'm not down for that at all. Alright, well I can level up the NPCs at least. Actually, this is a really good one to go for. Alright, well, that's enough of that. Last half of that game, the balance, the pacing just falls off a cliff. Really bad. It's like let's steal the Risk of Rain 2 scaling difficulty mechanic verbatim, but have enemies that just their HP scales to like 50 digits. So by the time you kill them, your danger level has gone up like twice, and then everything else has more health. It's just a downward spiral. Which Nair, the Automata one or the new one that just came out, the remake? So I know the Automata game has like a really shitty PC port, and then they like only fixed it on Game Pass, which is incredibly stupid. Like they fixed the Game Pass version, but they didn't fix the version that everybody bought like 5 years ago. What's wrong with the remake? I don't really follow that game. Is it another just typical bad Japanese PC port? We're still not past that era, are we? The game's from Japan, and you buy it on PC, you're basically like playing Russian roulette if the game's gonna work. Yeah, Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires has been like vaporware forever. They haven't said anything about that game. They posted like a screenshot like last month. One screenshot. I don't know why they announced that game when they did. We were at the beginning of the pandemic too, so I don't know why they announced that game when they did. I think the only reason they announced it is because they know that when you announce a mobile game for like an anniversary, people lose their shit, which is understandable. Most mobile games have like nothing resembling gameplay, and they don't replace a mainline installment. There's some exceptions, obviously, like Pinnacle of Combat. That game has actual gameplay. It feels like a legit DMC game. It's obviously scaled down a little bit, but when you compare it to like other mobile games that are like from like large franchises, that game is way better than anything else. I think that's like the only reason they announced Empires when they did. They learned from the Diablo Immortal fiasco, where people paid like hundreds of dollars to go to BlizzCon, and they just announced a fucking phone game. And people were expecting like Diablo 4, like Overwatch 2, and all these massive sequels and stuff. They're like, oh, we're just going to come back with a phone game. So now every company is terrified of doing that. I feel like Koei was trying to read the room. It's like, okay, if we just announce the mobile game, then people are going to burn us at the stake. But if we show like no gameplay in a trailer of something that's not going to come out for like 2 years, then maybe people won't be as pissed off. The problem is now people are pissed off that there's nothing. I don't know. I'm personally tired of games being announced too soon. I don't really like the Yakuza games. I've tried a bunch of them, and none of them have really grabbed me. But I appreciate how that studio, they don't announce stuff until it's like 6 months away or less. Like they announced Lost Judgment like last month or like back in April, and the game comes out in September. I'd rather you just like not talk about the game at all until it's like less than a year away. Like those guys do it right. They get people hyped up because they actually showed gameplay for one. They showed a lot of gameplay. They talked about the mechanics and the story, and then they dropped the bomb of like hey, the game has a worldwide release and it comes out in the fall. It's like 5 months away. I'm tired of getting logos and CG trailers and shit, and then the game is out in like 4 years. I'm not getting any younger. I'd rather you just not talk about the damn thing at all until you're like positive that it's going to come out. Like even if they had to delay Lost Judgment by like 2 or 3 months, it still wouldn't be that bad because they still would have announced it like 8 months before release, which is not bad considering how they do things now. The whole bullshit of to just to show like a number or a logo, and then they don't give you a release date, even a vague one. It's like, okay, why am I supposed to get excited for this? I need more than that at this point. I need to actually see what I'm buying. They had the same problem with Tales of Arise too. They announced that game like 3 years ago, and it's not coming out for another 3 months. And they showed like 5 seconds of gameplay the first 2 years. I don't know why they did that. I'm excited for that game because I'm a big Tales fan, but the way they've handled the marketing for that game is a joke. Why didn't you just announce it like back in March? Announce it back in March. That way you could have actually had gameplay. They actually did drop a bunch of gameplay a few months ago. I'm like, why didn't you just do that from the start? I can understand that they didn't want to give like a concrete release date with the pandemic and everything. I know game development in Japan is really bad right now because they're not getting enough vaccines and the cases are still going up and stuff. I can understand that, but I feel like Tales of Arise does not really have an excuse because they announced it back in like 2018 and they showed like the main guy doing like two moves and that was the extent of the gameplay you got. It's like, okay, well you showed gameplay but you barely showed anything and the game is nowhere near being done. I think a lot of Japanese games are going to get delayed. I think people need to get ready for that. A lot of shit's going to get delayed. I think they nailed down a lot of those release dates, expecting the pandemic to die down. It's really only dying down in America because we our people that run our country are greedy and they're not giving the vaccines to other countries. Like Japan is still getting hit really hard by it. I don't really expect to play Tales of Arise in September, honestly. Unless it's like already done and they're just doing like bug testing and stuff, and they're just not wanting to release it this summer because there's so many games coming out. I fully expect that game to get delayed too. It's probably going to get pushed back to like, I don't know, November or something. Depends on how far along they are. It looks like they're mostly done, but who knows what that means. But yeah, the Yakuza studio, they definitely do things better than a lot of the rest of the industry does. Like the game's already basically done. They're probably just doing like bug testing and like last minute polish and stuff. But the game's already basically already done when they announced it. So they have a couple months to market it, and that's it. Yeah, they pushed back KOF 15 to next year. Which, if they don't have the rollback done, that I definitely welcome the fact that they're doing that. I'm not gonna buy that shit if it doesn't have rollback. I don't want a repeat of when I moved here and I bought fucking KOF 13 and I played that game for all of like 2 hours because the net code was terrible and there was no local scene for it here at all. You know, there's people that play Tekken, there's people that play Dragon Ball and Smash, and there's even a couple people that play Battle for the Grid. But like, other than that, there's really not anything. I never really got to experience that game. I know a lot of people talk up how good it is, but that was definitely a game where if you didn't have locals to play it at, the game was unplayable. I'm hoping that that's one of the reasons why they delayed it. And obviously, the reason they delayed it is because the working conditions for like game development in Japan are like a mess right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if another reason for the delay was like we can't put this game out with delay-based netcode. It's just going to be dead on arrival. Who knows though? It's anybody's guess. It's probably a combination of both. They're saying that they're going to update at 3 a.m. for the New Genesis. I'm thinking about waiting, but I might just go to bed. We'll see if anyone's put up any Switch gameplay for the Ninja Gaiden collection. I have the money to buy it right now, but I don't know if I want to be the guinea pig. It's a little bit telling that they've shown like no gameplay footage of it whatsoever. I don't know. I think it would actually still be a pretty good port. It would actually still be a pretty good port if it didn't maintain 60 FPS because the original game sure didn't. There was the infamous staircase on Vanilla Ninja Gaiden 2 that ran at like 15 FPS. That was one of the best parts of that game, but it ran like garbage. If they can get it running at 60 FPS like most of the time, it would still be better than playing it on the original consoles. Yeah, I can't find anything. You don't see anybody playing it right now. It's mostly just a bunch of clickbait. Let's see, what can I play for like 45 minutes? That's about the extent of how long I'll wait. I've got a good idea. I'll be right back. I'm going to take my meds and scarf down my stress drink. I think I'm going to grab a granola bar too. I haven't eaten in a couple hours. I actually ate pretty light today. I had like half a meal from Wingstop and a banana and some popcorn. That's like all I've eaten today. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Ninja Gaiden 2 on Vita is something I never had the pleasure of experiencing. I heard it was really bad though. I like how the Vita is the predecessor to the Switch, but the Switch has the exact same problem the Vita has, where they do all these monkey paw ports. It's like, sure, you can have like Skyrim and like Cyberpunk 2077 on the Switch, but it's going to barely work. It's not going to be good to play. That was the exact same problem with the Vita. They kept trying to put stuff on it that the hardware just couldn't handle, and it ended up being a really like the worst way to play the game. The Switch is a lot like that too. A good example is Bloodstained. It's pretty depressing that I bought the mobile version of Bloodstained, and it was like a one-time like $10 purchase, and it had not only does it have full controller support, it runs better than the Switch version after like 10 patches. I really hope the Switch Pro will kind of reduce that issue, but people don't really think that. I mean, the game developers don't think either. The publishers don't think. It's like, okay, don't put it on there if it's going to run at like 20 FPS. Age of Calamity is a perfect example. That's a really good game. That's like one of the best Muso games in terms of content and the moveset variety and stuff. But it runs at like 15 FPS all the time. It's not enjoyable to play. I really feel like they should have like not put out that game until like next year when the new Switch is out. The problem is a lot of those games are hard capped to run at 30 FPS, so the developers will have to go back and patch them. They've actually been doing pretty good with that with the current gen consoles. Most of the updates have been free. Even Final Fantasy VII, the update that's coming out tomorrow, that's free. The only thing you have to pay for is the DLC. But Final Fantasy VII Remake also runs on Unreal Engine, so uncapping the frame rate is literally just like going into an INI file. It's probably a little bit more complicated from that than that when you're actually making the game, but Unreal Engine games do not have hard frame rate caps. You can just go into the INI file and change it yourself. Like I play Assault Spy at 120 FPS. I play Bloodstained at 144, and all it takes is just changing some numbers. But a lot of the Switch games are not going to be that easy to update. Let's check the interwebs. Is the game up yet? Did they fix their shit? Yeah, it's only for PS5, and so is the DLC. I feel like it's going to be really shitty to be a developer for the next like 2 years or so, because obviously they're tired of the PS4 hardware as much as I am, but at the same time they can't ignore it because it has such a massive install base, and everybody who wants to upgrade can't, because the only way you can get them is to be faster than a bot or pay a scalping price. They're going to have to keep putting out PS4 games. I'm sure they want to just abandon it, especially since the PS5 is literally just the PS4 but better in every way. Almost every way. Storage space, no, but performance and everything else about it is better. And people are starting to get pissed off that like Horizon is going to be on PS4. It's like, well, what did you think? They're not going to dump like $200 million into a AAA game like that on a console that you can't buy. If they want to make their money back at all, they have to put it on PS4. I mean, it sucks if you're lucky enough to have one of those things and there's like barely anything exclusive to play on it, but that's what it's going to be like probably until like 2023, I would imagine. There were definitely more exclusive PS3 games at this point in the PS3's lifespan than what we have going on now. Same thing with the PS4. PS4 had a pretty healthy amount of exclusives. It's mostly just like niche stuff like, Basara and Guilty Gear and things like that. Those had cross-gen ports. But they moved on from the PS3 pretty fast. There was like a couple games still coming out for it. Like Basara came out, and then Persona 5 was like the last big PS3 game. Like, I remember PS2 was still around for a while. PS2 still had some pretty big AAA games coming out well into the life cycle of the PS3. PS3 to PS4, they made the transition pretty fast. Mostly because the PS3 was a fucking nightmare to code for. They were more than willing to just abandon that user base pretty quickly. But I feel like the 4 to 5 is going to be like from the 2 to 3. There's still going to be really good games coming out on PS4, but the problem is a lot of them are going to run like shit, and it's going to be painfully obvious that they intend for you to play it on PS5. But just because of how expensive the games are to make and how small the install base is for the PS5, they have to keep putting them out on the last gen consoles. Cyberpunk's a pretty good example. Final Fantasy VII Remake too. Final Fantasy VII Remake has a ton of load times and actually like impacts the way the game is designed. So that's what all those forced walking sections are for. They say that it's there for exposition and character development and stuff. I'm sure that they use that time wisely, giving you more insight into the story and stuff. But the real reason you have to crawl and forced walk and stuff is so that the game can load the rest of the area you're in. I feel like they were already working on the PS5 update for Final Fantasy VII Remake before the original came out. But that's another game they dump like hundreds of millions of dollars into. And they have to put it on the old console. There's no choice. Investors aren't going to be happy if you tell them like, hey, well, they make like 3 PS5s a month. It doesn't matter how well demanded this game is, no one can really play it. When will the maintenance be over? They said they're going to update at 3 a.m. That's about as far as I'll wait. And I'm not going to be playing for long either, so I don't do like 15-hour gaming sessions anymore. Even if I did, there's very few games that keep me that interested. I'm just refreshing myself a little bit. .3DS to Switch was a pretty smooth transition too. They abandoned the 3DS pretty fast. But the 3DS was also a really long console generation. The 3DS was 6 years. They moved on. They abandoned that one pretty fast. The Wii U was like basically 4 years. The Wii U was like one of the fastest transitions they've ever done. And they abandoned that thing really fast. They just realized it wasn't worth putting like AAA stuff on there anymore. But I think PS4 to PS5 is going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people. You're going to be getting the versions of the games that are actually going to be good to play, but everything's going to be available on last gen. Ratchet and Clank's like the one game that's coming out that's exclusive. It's like actually going to be using the power of the new console. I stopped with Critica. Critica was a game I quit cold turkey because the game engine was completely awful and the raid content ran at like 5 FPS. I'm not exaggerating. The raid content was like, okay, you need to fight this big ogre boss that can one-shot you, but the game is running at like 10 FPS, so you can't see what you're doing and the game's dropping inputs. I noped out of there pretty fast when they started adding the raids. It's like, alright, I got my time and money's worth out of this game. It's time to move on. That's been a very common complaint with that game too, is that it's a fun game to play, but the engine is decrepit and non-functional. And they want you to do content that you literally can't do because the performance is so bad. It's not even like an Age of Calamity shit frame rate where, you know, you can still play it. It doesn't really eat your inputs that much, but in Critica, it did definitely ate your inputs. It was like barely playable. But Critica is also a really old game. That game came out in like 2011. At least the Korean MMO developers are starting to just use Unreal Engine now. If the MMO genre survives the next couple years, I'm sure the next few ones that come out won't run so terribly. A lot of the Korean games use really bad proprietary engines that run like shit. At least Closers did add a solo raid that you could do, which I think was nice. Because Closers is basically just like it's like a single player game with co-op. It's online, but you can do like almost everything solo, which is the kind of service game I like. I don't like being forced to play with people. I'm going to give this another half hour, and if it's not up by then, I'm just going to bed. Sorry to people that have been waiting, but I warned you in the title that this was going to happen. I take no responsibility for lost sleep or boredom. I take no responsibility for that because I put extended maintenance in the title, knowing full well that this was going to happen just from prior experience doing this stuff. But they said that they're going to update in half an hour, so that's about as far as I'll go. Well, KOF All-Star is a game I play on this channel every day, and every time they try to add online to that, like co-op, it's buggy and laggy, and it doesn't work.
Devil may cry.
Oh, why does this have no sound? What the hell? How long was I muted for? How long was I muted for? My speakers got muted for some reason. I don't know what happened there. There's Pinnacle of Combat launch tomorrow morning. No, tomorrow. So, you never guessed the way I fixed this game. I fixed it by turning virtualization on. Somehow that just completely fixed this game. I haven't been able to play this game for months. I haven't been able to play for like 3 months, because whenever I had my recording software open, either this or Gamecaster, the frame rate would tank and it would stutter for like no reason. But last night, I went into my BIOS and I turned virtualization on because I'm gonna need that on for when I do my Pinnacle of Combat videos. I'm not gonna be doing my Pinnacle of Combat videos on the phone because I've explained this before, but my phone has really bad heat throttling, and when it throttles the CPU, it throttles itself a lot, and the performance goes to shit. So I turned that on just so I could install BlueStacks again and play Pinnacle of Combat later this week, or tomorrow. And for some reason that completely fixed this. It works completely fine now. I don't know why that fixed it, but it did. Yeah, the trainer for this is not easy. Not easy to get set up, but it makes the game way better. There's actually was an update to the trainer, I think like yesterday. They added a bunch of new stuff, so luckily turning virtualization on fixed this game. So now I can do my. I had that little DMC Muso series going on that I had to drop because I couldn't get the game to work anymore. When I have some time next month, so I'll probably bring that back. They also added an enemy editor, which allows you to take the annoying enemies out of the game, which is great. The Fury doesn't bother me that much. It's the, I think the Behemoth is a shit enemy. Gilgamesh is a shit boss. The worst boss in this game by far. Nidhogg is bad too. I think Nidhogg, they designed him solely to be fought with B. It's a terrible fight with anybody else. I mean, it's put some effort into, like, making bosses that B could actually fight, but fighting that boss with anybody else is just... Gilgamesh is just a boring gimmick boss. Oh, yes, it will work. Yes, it will work. I don't use Akishi anymore, though. I upgraded. My Kishi broke. It broke during a kitty sitting stream. The L2 button broke. The spring in it broke or something. I gave it to my friend. He wanted one for himself. I told him, hey, if you fix it, you can take it. I don't need it anymore. The X2 is really good. That's what I'm using now. Well, not right now, but for my kitty sitting mobile stuff. The reboot is not a bad game. I mean, the game is almost 10 years old, and, like, in terms of Western character action games, it is still the best thing out there. It's just that the marketing for it was terrible, and they're basically actively shitting on the legacy of the series, saying Dante needs to go to Brokeback Mountain and that he dresses like a stripper and stuff. The marketing for the game was horrible, and that's what made people not even want to try it. The game has a lot of problems. The color-coded enemies and the bosses suck, but when you consider how old that game is now and how there isn't anything better, all the other Western attempts at that kind of game are really shitty. It does deserve more credit than it gets, but at the same time, it was marketed in such an embarrassingly bad way. You can't expect people to not have that kind of agenda towards it. I mean, you have the producer of the game saying that Dante needs to be in Brokeback Mountain, and that no one would dress like him and stuff, even though people obviously do. Maybe not a lot of people, but they do, nonetheless. If you want people to take your reboot seriously, then don't say shit like that about a very highly regarded series. That's not how it works. It didn't need to be a reboot in the first place, but the marketing for that game was embarrassing. They should have never given Tamim a mic and let him talk about the old games. One thing nobody will admit about the reboot, though, is that the control scheme is better. The control scheme is better in almost every way. The people are such diehards about the classic DMC control scheme, even though it's a fucking mess, and you're going to end up with carpal tunnel and like all these hand problems playing it for a long period of time, which has happened to a lot of people that play DMC at a really high level. The control scheme sucks. It's very antiquated and outdated. The control scheme in that game is actually better in a number of ways. I feel like if they had put that control scheme in like a mainline game and somehow managed to keep all the mechanics, it would be a lot easier on your hands. Assault Spy is the same way too. Assault Spy basically uses the reboot control scheme, and it's nice how you have all the moves at your disposal. They're just done in different ways, and you have 2 attack buttons. It definitely feels like you need like 3 hands to play DMC at a high level, or learn how to play on keyboard like Pang does. Yeah, you can't expect people to have a good first impression of your game when the producer is actively shit talking the series he's making a reboot of. That's just bound to happen. The reboot does have better controls. The combat is definitely dumbed down. The enemy design and the bosses are way worse. The bosses are pretty bad in the reboot. There's no defending that, but I don't feel like my hands are going to fall off playing that game. Same thing with Assault Spy. I can play through Assault Spy and not feel like my arms are going to fall off. I mean, it says a lot that the reason they took crazy combos out of 4 and 5 was because when you played on Turbo, it was like barely possible to do enough mashing to get them off. I find it hilarious that they shipped DMC 3 Special Edition with Turbo mode, but then the crazy combos you had to mash like 10 times a second to do them. So unless you're a really good masher or you're just young, you couldn't do them. That's why they've never brought that mechanic back. Because they know they're going to add turbo later down the line, and that means that they can't have that in the game. I always thought that was a stupid mechanic. It was a cool way to extend moves, but it felt completely unnecessary. It didn't need to be there. All right, I'm waiting. I'm waiting 8 more minutes for them to update. And unless they say anything that doesn't involve the game is up now, I'm going to bed. I already took my meds for tonight too, so that limits how much more time I could be gaming. I'm just gonna sit here. I'm not gonna boot up another game. You know, the reboot had good things about it, but it had a lot of bad things about it too. The story was terrible. The new versions of the characters was terrible. The bosses were terrible, and the color-coded enemy stuff was stupid too. But there were some positive things about it. It's weird that people deny that it has any positive traits at all. What's up, Grow? How much longer do they have? They said that they're going to update at 3 a.m., which is in 7 minutes. No, I'm waiting another 7 minutes, dude. I'm going to bed. I'll tell you guys this: I'm clinically mentally ill. I take meds at night. I take meds at night, and they help me sleep. If I don't take my meds, then I have a really hard time sleeping because the meds mess with your circadian rhythm. I already took my meds, and also I'm drinking a stress drink right now, which also helps me sleep. So even if it comes up in 5 minutes, I'm not going to be on for long. I'll probably just hope it's up in the morning at this rate. But I'm going to wait to see what they say so I can at least plan around it. Yeah, I've been on for like 2.5 hours. Yeah, I work really hard. It doesn't pay financially, but it has other benefits. It's taught me a lot of discipline. I can talk better. It helps me. The routine helps me manage my mental illness, and those are things that are worth more than money in some cases. I definitely don't like how little I make and how often I have to ask for donations and stuff, but there are other aspects to it that are good. A lot of people have said they speak a lot better after doing content creation, even for just like a year or something. I definitely have learned a lot. It definitely has helped me in other aspects, meeting friends and stuff. It's never going to be a very profitable thing that I do on here, but I mean, there's other benefits to it. I quit Twitch. I just abandoned Twitch. I'm on Twitch right now, but I abandoned Twitch because that shit has not grown in like a decade. I don't really care at this point. Streaming on Twitch was just making me more depressed. I'm only going to be really streaming on Twitch from here on out when I need to make highlights because YouTube doesn't really let you make highlights at all. If I'm doing like 1cc attempts or something, then I'll stream on Twitch. But other than that, I'm done streaming on Twitch. I've given up on it. I've been on there for longer than anybody else, and I've just had horrible luck growing on there. And now it's like impossible to grow on there. I definitely have felt a lot better just letting that go. Like, all right, it's not going to grow. I'm not really gonna do much better on there. It felt good to just give up. There's lots of toxic positivity and content creation telling you to never give up and stuff. Sometimes it is better to give up, or at least scale things back. You don't want to keep doing it if it's just not growing. That's how Twitch has been for me. I just I just wanted to give up on it. I definitely have felt a lot better. 'Cause this shit can be really draining. How much time and money and effort you put into it, and such a large percentage don't make anything back at all. It was nice to just kind of say, just give up on Twitch, just forget about it. All right, it's supposed to be up in their update, whatever, is supposed to be up in 2 minutes. Probably going to say it's going to be up like in 24 hours. I don't make any money on Twitch. I've made $100 on Twitch in the past like 12 years. I make more than that off YouTube in like a single month. I don't think anything of value was lost. The only point to my Twitch channel right now is just for highlights. If I start doing speed runs again or one credit clear attempts or whatever, then I'll stream on there just because I can make the highlights really easily. There's people still waiting in the Twitch category. Wow. See, this is why I didn't say I was going to be playing the game tonight. Guys know I'm an avid hater of clickbait. I didn't want people coming in here waiting for something that might not happen. That's why I put extended maintenance waiting room. That way, if the stream just ended up being just playing random shit like it's been for the past 2.5 hours. Everything's fine. I delivered exactly what I promised. An extended maintenance waiting room, and that's exactly what happened. I didn't want to just do one of those streams where people just sit at the title screen for like 4 hours. That's boring. I have no interest in watching that kind of content. Seems like it's working for a couple people here in the directory, but not something I'm into doing. Alright, it's 3 a.m. Where's the update? Did they fall asleep? I don't even think the Japanese server is up. I don't think it's up, is it? I'm pretty sure someone would be playing it if it was. Because I do have a Japanese account. I'm an old school PSO2 player. That wouldn't happen tonight though anyway. It's like 90 gigs. It would still take me like 2 hours. By the time it finished, it'd be like 6 in the morning. I'm not that desperate to play it. I didn't really like the beta that much for what it's worth, so I'm not really expecting a whole lot. Okay, what the hell? I'm about to just say fuck this and go to bed. I'm out of patience. I'll give them another few minutes and I'm off for the night. Maybe they're like finally starting to turn it on. Good night. Thanks for stopping by. 3 more hours for another update. It was posted on the Japanese site. Are you fucking kidding me? 3 hours for another update. Not the game going up, another update. I can't believe how badly they've handled this. You- wow. I need to verify this myself. Hold on. I think this is one of the worst service game launches I've ever seen. It's like they gave themselves enough time to like not have this happen, but then it still did. They didn't do the usual thing where it's like, hey, we're going to massively, completely overhaul this game in only 8 hours, which is like impossible to do. They didn't do that. They gave themselves like 2 days to do it, but yet it still happened. I think this out of all the launches I've been in, this is one of the worst ones. There's no guarantee that when it goes up that the servers will even work either. That's the hilarious part for the people that are going to stay up. I usually go to bed around this time anyways, and I didn't sit there and wait. I didn't sit there and wait at the select screen. I was playing other stuff the entire time. So yep, they posted. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the stream right now. Check in the next 3 hours. Fuck that. I'm going to bed. I'm out. Oops. Well, I hope the people that are just staring at the server select screen have a good night. I'm glad I did not do that. I played a bunch of other stuff and had fun tonight, despite the game not being up, because I knew that this is exactly what was going to happen. But it ended up somehow being worse than I thought. Look at this directory right now. This is something you don't see very often. The world of content creation. Hold on. This is something you don't see very often. This only happens when online game service game launches are all fucked up. You have like all these people just staring at the select screen. I, I don't understand why. Why are there 2,000 people watching him just not do anything? Like look at this. How many are just on the select screen? One, two, three, four. This guy's been waiting forever. He's a really good person in the community. He's been waiting forever. I feel bad for him. But he's got 300 viewers watching him do nothing, so I mean, seems to be working. He generally does not pull that many viewers. I guess it's working. 644 on this one. Server screen. This person's playing PSO1. This must be a fellow boomer like me who's been around since the beginning. Another one. You don't get to see that very often. It's always a unique experience when a game is like down, it's not launching at the right time, the servers are all messed up, and people just like stand there and wait forever. Fuck that. I'm going to bed. I'll see you guys. I don't know if I wake up and it's up, then I'll turn the stream on. Other than that, later today is going to be the Ninja Gaiden collection. I'm not sure if I want to get. I could get the Japanese version right now for Switch and do a port review of that, but I'm not entirely sure how good it's going to be. They put out like no footage of it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a shit port, and I'm not made of money, so I don't know if I want to drop $50 on something that might not work. I'll sleep on it. That's going to launch in the morning too, so I'll be doing one or the other. See you guys later.